First question is an important one. They're all good questions, actually. Since the fallout of the investigation surrounding Ravi Zacharias, what is there for us as Christians to learn from the findings and collapse of RZIM?
Start with an easy one.
Yeah, they get harder.
Far
Yes.
out. Look, I mean, that whole thing is a huge tragedy, obviously. I don't need to go into that. For those of you who want to follow up, there are those who are still defending the legacy of Ravi, his wife and one of his sons, and they've set up a website. You can go and look at that if you like. I just say that to make sure that both sides of the issue are covered. But let's take the situation as it is, which is that it is as bad as it looks. For me, I must say the first thing I thought of when I read that report, firstly was grief, obviously, but the second thing was it made me alarmed at just how true the scripture is that says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And the real problem is that it's not only Ravi that had a human heart. We've all got a human heart. And that diagnosis applies to us all. And I guess it gave me chills, and I thought of that thing, there but for the grace of God go I. Now I want to be clear, I can't imagine myself doing that. I just can't imagine it. But of course, that might be the deception, because we're all capable of evil. And so it made me really just pray that God would preserve all in leadership from these things, pray about myself, and pray for the testimony of the church. And so I think the first thing I'd like to say is the lesson for me was, how corrupt is the human heart, and how can I live so that such things don't ever come close to me, and that I never find myself so deceived that I'm walking even within 10% of that terrible situation. And so I'd encourage sober reflection. That's how I would say it. Now the rest, obviously, there's questions to be asked about, how organisations like ACL run ourselves, how people who are involved in ministry make themselves accountable and all that. I'll leave that to those who are working on those things. But for us all, I think a sober reflection of that nature is worthwhile, because our testimony is everything. And that's what we learned from the Ravi thing. His testimony was everything. And I really admire those who have been in Christian ministry for many years and have got an absolutely blameless integrity about them. And we need more of those sorts of people who can walk the talk.